And so this is going to be about searching USA Library. My name is Ryan Gaylor. I'm a distance learning librarian for the University of St. Augustine. And tonight we're going to look at searching the USA Library. This is kind of a continuation webinar of the basics from last week. If you didn't attend the basics, make sure you go back and watch that one if you get the opportunity to. Today we're just going to really focus on using Search USA to locate articles or whatever else you really need. So for the most part, you'll encounter Search USA to begin your literature searching process. So I just wanted to make sure that you get a chance to see what it can do for you. So just a quick announcements of some really helpful upcoming events that I think would be really helpful. One of them is Zotero. You want to be using it, which is going to be hosted, looks like on Wednesday, on May 19th. Zotero is a citation manager. It's a really popular one among a lot of the students, staff, and faculty. It can definitely help you on things like organizing references as well as generating citations. That's kind of one of its other helpful components, but mostly it's to manage the information that you locate using things like Search USA or some of our subject-specific databases. There's also one on study tips that I think was pretty popular last term. I don't really know a ton about it except for it's about study tips, but yeah, so definitely check that one out if you get the opportunity to. That's going to be offered on May 20th. And Get Organized, which is another session that I do, is really just getting to know some of the organizational and storage tools that are available to you as a student at the University of St. Augustine. And what I mean by organizational tools and storage tools, it kind of intersects with Zotero, actually. Zotero, the citation manager. I'll talk a little bit about that during that session, but it'll mostly focus on some of the user accounts that you can activate in Search USA or in a subject-specific database if you choose to. So if you're interested in that one about getting organized with your literature searching and things like that, join me on June 1st. But there are also, I may have also mentioned, there are lots of other events that you can take advantage of on the library's homepage. I'll show you where that is as we get going. So our agenda, the research question or the literature search question. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Identifying search terms. You can use a variety of different methods. One of the methods that is often used here at University of St. Augustine is, and it's because it's a method that's used in health sciences, which is called PICO, which is it's a mnemonic that stands for Patient Intervention Comparison Outcome, and sometimes in time frame. So it's PICO. So that we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. That's something that you're going to be learning a lot about as you move on through your program, wherever you are at that point now. We're going to do some combining search terms, do some of that, and searching in Search USA. If we have time, I really would like to link out to PubMed and ProQuest and CINAHL for a little bit, to give you a little bit more or bang for your buck, I guess, in this shorter session. The session's only going to be about 30 minutes, about 30 tops, maybe 40 minutes. So like I said, we're going to mostly focus in Search USA, but if we have some time, we'll jump out to some of the databases. So the research question, let me preface by, there's no right or wrong way to search for literature. I've really learned that it just depends. You eventually, if this is a new thing to you, you eventually develop your own process to this. Everyone has their own way. But the most important part, of course, is like anything that everybody does differently, is that as long as it's accessible for you. So some of the things I'll be covering today are really just strategies to jumpstart your literature searching, whether it's just for personal information or just for personal use, or if it's for your course or your dissertation or a project that you're working on. So yeah, that's what we'll focus on. So the research question or the literature searching question is really just sets you on the path of enlightenment. You're looking for the answer. So, when you're choosing your topic, a couple of the things that I usually say that is not the most exciting parts of this particular subject, which is when you begin, a research-ish assignment, or if it has something to do with a paper you're writing, or you have to gather like a whole bunch of articles on a particular topic, the first thing you want to do before you do anything is make sure that you understand your assignment, the parameters of requirements and due dates, because sometimes literature searching can take a little bit of time. So it's very important to, in the beginning stages, as you're kind of, thinking about your topic and places you want to take it, you want to make sure that you have enough time to do it. It's very difficult, and I do not recommend waiting, until the last day or two before you have to write something using a research article or collect research articles, because you'll find that it makes things harder to find. So anyway, as far as choosing your topic, you may want to conduct a preliminary search in a couple of different places. Of course, I like to think that Search USA is a really good place to search if you have a general idea of what you want to look for. Reason why is because Search USA allows you to view the library's collection, whether both electronic and physical collection, and so it allows you to see what we have and some of the stuff that we don't have actually as well. I'd also suggest, doing a Google search about your particular topic. You could also look at Google News objects or anything like that. Go to, say, your topic has a specific organization that's associated with it. You might want to go there just to get familiar with it a little bit more. But once you've settled on that topic and you got the process going, think of the details parts of your topic, the who, what, when, where, why part. And then I created sort of a sample question for tonight, which is, are hip exercises an effective addition to the traditional rehabilitation of a patient with knee osteoarthritis? I kind of just put that as an example that we'll be coming back to some tonight. But and last thing, sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place here, that I want to talk about with your research question and choosing your topic and choosing your path is, don't feel like you're locked into that path. Don't feel like that you can alter your topic a little bit or change your direction. It will. Your path, your topic, or whatever you're working on will change based on the literature that you find sometimes. So, just keep in your mind that just be open when you're doing a literature search. So the next thing, particularly if you're going to be using a tool like Search USA, or if you're going to be using one of our subject-specific databases, is you want to kind of think of search terms. You can't obviously just plug in, the question that we just came up with for our session, into the search bar. You could do it. I don't know if you would find the amount of good information at the point, but you'll want to break it down into conceptual search terms that are based off of your question. And it's a very challenging aspect of the literature search process. I will not sugarcoat that. It's hard for librarians at times to come up with good search terms and key concepts in order to define what they're looking for. I know it's a difficult process. It's also a process that will also change over time. The information that you find, there may be another term got you there. So identifying search terms can be difficult, but it's possible to make it work. The first thing is you want to think about the key concepts of whatever you're working on. So like if we're using our topic, the one that I kind of created for tonight, you want to identify the key concepts. So you can do a couple of different things. You can write down like a declarative sentence that says like, I want to write about hip exercises and their effectiveness in the rehabilitation of patients with knee osteoarthritis, for example. You could write it out like that, and then maybe take a pencil or pen and underline, or just put it down on a Word document and underline the key concepts that you can extract from that sentence. That usually helps as far as being able to figure out what you want to search for. You'll also want to think about words that might not be as important when you're doing a search as far as search terms. And what I mean by that is eliminating articles or unnecessary words from the search as well. This takes a little bit of practice actually to, if you're trying to pull out the key concepts of that particular sentence that I just said. Sometimes you may want to add an additional word that you may not really need to add to begin with. So you'll want to just keep to the main points, which in our case would be probably hip exercises, rehabilitation, and knee osteoarthritis would be some of our key concepts that we're going to target with our search. The other way, other than just kind of writing it out or sort of thinking about it in a conceptual form, is use the PICO model, which if you haven't heard of it already, you probably will at some point. The PICO model is really what PICO is that it is it's a model that's normally used to structure a clinical question. So like our question that we have is sort of kind of a clinical question, but not exactly. Usually PICO is helped to design it's a mnemonic for patient intervention, patient problem intervention, comparison outcome. And what it normally does is it help you sort of framework your clinical question, but it can also be used for literature searching, as you can what you plug in to those particular fields for patient intervention, comparison, and outcome. You can extract those terms that you're using to sort of plug into this, and I'll show you an example in a minute. I know that sounds kind of weird. You can basically extract those terms and put them into a search bar and search like from there. So as you can see, simplicity as far as in your terms is very key to doing a good keyword search. It also, might help for you to know, and I think I just said this a second ago, but keep it simple and know that these terms change, that you may be using currently maybe the wrong terms to locate articles or information about something you're interested in, but you let the literature sort of guide you from there. The search engines algorithms are fantastic, so they may lead you to articles that are relevant to your search terms. But if it turns out that those articles are using similar or alternate terms, then you may want to adopt some of those terms to do searches, and I'll show you what I'm talking about for that later. Again, avoid unnecessary terms, redundant terminology, abbreviations, articles, things like that. PICO, so the quest to build a good search. So PICO, as I was talking about before, it's a mnemonic that helps you construct your clinical question, but it can also be used to help you search for literature. So your patient, problem, intervention, comparison, or control, outcome, time, and time of study. There are different types of PICO models that you may come in contact with as a student, but this is kind of the one that's the standard one that's used a lot over, that's used at the university more often than not. So your patient or your problem would be, for us, it would be knee osteoarthritis, with our intervention being hip exercises or something using the lower extremities to aid in the rehabilitation of knee osteoarthritis. Comparison, if there is one, sometimes there isn't a comparison to be made, which is completely fine. And then your outcome, what's the overall goal? So the overall goal with our question that we kind of thought of is that we want, the patient to be rehabilitated using these types of exercises. Another thing, and I mentioned it before, is thinking of alternative terms and alternative and identifying these alternative terms that are sometimes synonyms, because it can really help you in the search process. The thing that you always want to have when you're searching, whether a database or whether it's using Search USA, is you want to be able to, if a term or a search isn't particularly working, and you can see it by maybe the lack of information you're getting, or if you're getting too much information, which means you may need to narrow your search down, which therefore you may need to change your search terms. So I wouldn't say, if you're just kind of investigating your topic, if you think of, I'm going to do knee osteoarthritis, and I'm just going to go ahead and start jot down a whole bunch of terms, No, I mean, most people don't normally do that. They just enter the language into the search bar. But it's something to consider if you're doing a much more meaningful search. You know, you're writing a literature review, or like there's a special paper that you're working on that's based off of some articles that you find. That's kind of when those additional terms start coming into play more, because you're looking for as much information about your topic as you can, and often it can be referred to in different ways. So, you know, there are basically, and there are other things that you can do as well. You know, your keyword search, you know, can take many different forms as well, as you can see here. So you could kind of alter the terminology that we're going to use, which we're going to pretty much use hip exercises, rehabilitation, and knee osteoarthritis to get our search going. But if we start to feel like we're not getting what we're looking for, we can alter this up and change up our search a little bit as well. And some of these extra terms could be really beneficial in that case. So let's get started. Let me go to, anybody have any questions just yet? I'm going to stop sharing my slides so I can share my, we're going back to the library. Any questions, anything like that? We're good? All right, terrific. So let's go find our access point to Search USA. So let me make sure. So there's a couple of access points to Search USA. Again, Search USA is the library's search engine. So anything that you're interested in that you want to look up and see if the library has anything about, Search USA is the best place to start. So you can search it like you search anything. You know, these days you can enter your natural language, but I would say just keep it simple. You know, usually Search USA, you can access Search USA here at the top of this of the library's homepage in the bar. It'll say Search USA beside it. You can also go to Search USA through our resources tab and click Search USA there. I actually prefer to go to the Search USA from this place, and the main reason why is because if I need to maybe use the advanced search, I can do that from the entry point here under resources, whereas in the bar version at the very top, when you're searching for whatever you're looking for, you don't have that option. But majority of the time, this is how you would encounter it. So we'll just do our server sizes. Oops, sorry. I started typing something else. All right, so we can just enter those terms, and they don't really have to be in any particular order. The search engine, Search USA, and the algorithm automatically incorporates, or excuse me, the search engine automatically incorporates and. So if you're thinking you have to put that in as far as like the concepts, the separating concepts, you don't have to do that most of the time in Search USA. If you want to, you can. Like you could put and hip exercises and the osteoarthritis and rehabilitation, but you don't necessarily have to do that. It's completely up to the user. It'll search it that way anyway, because it's searching for the terms, you know, as they are. So let's click search. And once everything comes together on our Search USA page, it'll show us the results that we have here. Everything is ranked according to relevance to your keywords. So meaning that the stuff on the top is the best match for your keywords, whereas the stuff that's on the subsequent pages probably is close to it, but it may not meet all of the criteria that shows up in your initial search. So this seems like a pretty good one that could be possible. We could also just keep browsing along here. But again, Search USA searches the USA library. So everything that we access in here, for the most part, you will be able to connect to full text with. You can connect to full text in many different ways. The first way that that most people see, and I'm going to try to find an example, would be if there's a PDF icon. So if this article was one that we wanted to choose, most people know that if you want to access it, you would just click on the PDF icon to do that. You can. That's one way to do it. So you can access the full content here. But you can also, oops, I'm sorry, just crossed out our search. All right, so let's try that again. All right, so so we could do that. The other ways to get to full text, you can usually just read right below the entry, like these are the entries that are the ones on the results page that are ranked 1 through however many. Usually you'll know if it's available by what it shows here. So this is a systematic review. Even though I don't really think it's going to be super pertinent to our topic, but it does, we can connect to it through the Cochrane systematic reviews database. You'll see this one sometimes, which is for full text. And what this one basically means is that it appears as full text because it's available through the library subscription, but you have to link out to access it. So when you click on it, it'll say, okay, so it wants you to click on this for full text. It'll take you to this particular page where then you can either connect to it and view the article through Science Direct, which is a publisher, or if you maybe you happen to be on campus, you can go and view the article and during using the print issues that are available on the campus. But most of the time, when you're looking for stuff, you most likely, if you can access it electronically, it's probably better to do that. So yeah, so here's our article. So that's what the little blue full text, all it means is that we do have access to it. It's just you have to take one extra click to it, basically, and usually the click will send you to the publisher's website for that. So we have those that we connected to there. Oops, sorry. All right, back to our search again. So we have a lot of results to pick from here. We have about 12,000 results. Now we can start altering our keywords if we wanted to narrow down our topic a little bit more, or maybe there's another nuance to it that we want to capture. But you could do that in a couple of different ways. Well, first off, if you want to narrow it or limit the topic by whether it's a catalog item, which catalog is synonymous, or it just when you think of catalog only, when you're using Search USA, think of physical collection, because that's really what the library catalog is it's like an inventory of the USA library's physical items like ebooks, treatment tables, and things like that are collected on the physical campus, but it's also our ebook collection. So we actually catalog ebooks the same as physical books, just so they're a lot easier to find. So the catalog is going to limit us to just stuff that is collected either physically or ebooks. Peer-reviewed is exactly what it sounds like. If you're looking for a peer-reviewed article, you can do the limit to peer review, and it'll filter out all of the articles and all the content that's not deemed peer reviewed, and you can have that. Of course, peer review is the process in which an article goes through a more rigorous assessment where let's say you submit to a journal, the journal then submits your work to additional reviewers in your field who will go through it. And really the goal of peer review is to make sure that the knowledge that is being, or the research that is going out into the world, is the best research possible. So if you wanted to limit it by peer review, you could very well do that. There's also source types. So if you're interested in academic journals, which if you select the peer review filter, that's what you're going to get, because books are not peer reviewed. So when you activate the peer-reviewed limiter, it's just going to give you articles. So if you wanted to incorporate books in that process, then you would deactivate that limiter and go to under source types and choose books or ebooks or anything like that if you want. So those are some of the limiters and filters that you can begin to use, especially if you want to start to like constrict your search a little bit more. So next one that's really helpful is the subject filter, which I really like a lot, because it really, what it does is that with your keyword search that you've done, the search terms that you've come up with to try to locate the information using Search USA, what it now lets you do is that it lets you kind of zero in on important subjects. Excuse me. Every article is indexed with subject headings. So you'll see this. It's actually highlighted when you're looking at the article's entry. You'll see usually below this part where it says subjects, and it gives you all of these different terms that have been assigned to this article by the indexer. And the reason why these subject terms exist is to help you find information faster. So if you consider the terms you used initially to start the search, what the subject terms then do is they essentially put your search terms on, say, steroids, because what they do is the Search USA, they analyze your search, and then based on the keyword search that you've done, it goes, oh, well, he or she must be looking for articles about hip exercises, knee osteoarthritis, and rehabilitation. Well, let me see where that matches, whether if it's in the title, the subject heading, or somewhere in the abstract or article. But it looks at it, and then from the subject standpoint, it'll be like, okay, so you must be looking for this. Let me help you find this. And that's what the subject filter does. The subject filter, the subject headings in general, they are the controlled vocabulary of the search tool. Now, Search USA, since it searches multiple databases, it's, again, I'll probably say this a couple of times in the session today, but Search USA is not a database. A lot of people think of it as a database because it kind of looks like a database. It has some of the same sort of database searching tools, but it's not a database. It searches databases. So it's searching what we have physically and electronically, all of our databases, save for a couple that are actually not searchable in Search USA. But so what it does is that after it analyzes your keywords and it looks at, and it gives you potential subjects that you can narrow your searches down to, it's taking the subject terminology that's from a couple of different platforms to help you find the information better. Once you kind of figure out what you're looking for, it's not a bad idea then to take that topic to a subject database, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. But yeah, so we can use the subject filter to kind of narrow in on our search a little bit more. So we could add osteoarthritis, excuse me, physical therapy. We definitely want to target knee osteoarthritis, maybe muscle strength. I'm thinking of exercises. Here, excuse me for a second, I'm gonna have to cough. Sorry, it's my second class today, so. Maybe muscle strength is one that we'll activate as well. Rehabilitation, maybe exercise therapy. And what this does again is that it just zeroes in on your topic, makes it easier to find. Again, the subject terms it's kind of like the cheat sheet. It helps you get to that information faster. So we can do knee, and we could choose a couple of others here, but I'm going to go ahead and just update our search. So what it does is that it updates the search, it reruns the search with our search terms, the initial ones we use, but then it adds the additional subject terms to really focus in on, hopefully, on the information you're looking for. And so it's really focused our search down. It's knocked down the results quite a bit as well. The more that you would have activated as we would have gone down the list, the lesser the results that it would be. So some of the other filters here, this could be filtered by publisher. If you're looking for content that's by a specific publisher, I don't really know in a case where that would happen a lot of the times, but the filter is there in case you wanted to use it. There's also one by publication, so it's looked at the different publications. If you're definitely looking for one that's physical therapy centric through a physical therapy lens, then probably the physical therapy publication, physical therapy would probably be a place that you'd want to start. It does have a lot of articles, as we see, that are pulled from that particular journal, 231. So that's pretty good. There's a language filter as well. So if you're looking for stuff just published in English language, you can activate that filter there. Or if you're interested in everything, you don't have to activate any of the filters. You can just see what's out there. Geography, basically it's the country of origin that the study is focused in. And then content provider is how you would link out to some of the subject databases. I'll tell you that it's not great to search the subject databases from Search USA. You're better at just going there. So it looks like Gale Academic One File, one of our databases, definitely is in the running of having perhaps the most articles about our topic that we have in that database. Then you could take the search that we're doing now and take it to that specific database and then run those searches there. And the reason why you would do that is because Search USA searches everything, but Gale seems to have a lot of the information we're looking for. So why don't we focus our search in that particular database? There's a couple of others here. CINAHL Complete, which is one that's a pretty major database that's used in health sciences. That would be an excellent one to go to if you're looking for really, really great quality information. That's a great place. All of these are really good to go to. So that's kind of how you're using Search USA to begin the literature searching process, feeling out your topic, and then maybe taking it to a subject database afterwards. You can access our subject databases in a couple of different ways. One of them is you could connect out to, over here where it says additional resources, you can connect out to ProQuest. ProQuest is a multidisciplinary database that has a little bit of everything for sure. Has a lot of great content in it, ranging from business and art all the way to health sciences. And so if you wanted to take your search to that place, you could click on additional resources and it'll link out to ProQuest where you can search on that platform. Search USA doesn't specifically search ProQuest, so that's why it's over here for additional resources so you can link out to it, is because the results list that's here will not match what you find in ProQuest because it's not searchable. So you can click on ProQuest here and it'll take you with your search over to ProQuest. PubMed is another one. Now, Search USA does search Medline, which Medline is PubMed, but the reason why we have a link out for PubMed, and I'll link out to it now, is because PubMed has its own search tools that are so much better. It's a database, just like ProQuest. So not only does it, not only is, the information in it, well, let me backpedal that. What I meant to say is that both PubMed and ProQuest are databases. One of the drawbacks with Search USA, and it's just because it's not a database, it's a search engine, is that it doesn't have a lot of the same tools that some of the academic databases have. So I've had students ask me in the past, well, why do I need to link out to a database and learn to use it if I understand Search USA and I can use it from there? Well, I can search the database from Search USA, and that's a very valid point. That's true. You can search the database, or a lot of it, with Search USA, but Search USA has a very limited amount of search tools. It has the keyword search. You can search in Boolean operators. It finds all your terms. You can use limiters and filters and things like that. But some of these databases have more advanced tools that make it a lot easier to target the information you're looking for. PubMed, for instance, aside from just being a great database to do general searching in, it's, I think, the best academic database when it comes to natural language searching. We can search the terms just as we enter them into Search USA here and find just as much of results as if we were to add different truncations and spellings. That's the cool thing with Search USA, is it does a lot of that for you on the back end. So it's really made for a user to just come and see what's out there about their topic, which is really, really cool. So with our search, we have a lot of results to filter through or to go through, but they have some of the same tools over here. You have your date ranges, you have text availability, whether it's an abstract, whether it's free through the library or free just with open access. Another great thing is that it has the article type. So if you're, let's say we want knee osteoarthritis, but we want a clinical trial of something with manual therapy, knee osteoarthritis, we can activate that filter and it'll filter everything out for clinical trials. So yeah, definitely, PubMed is a really good resource if you're looking for high quality health sciences information. It's really good, and that's kind of the other, like I said, the other reason why you want to link out is because just the search tools make it a lot easier. This would have taken us, it wouldn't take us long, but it would have made the search a little bit harder if we were looking for a clinical trial or a quantitative article on if we were looking for a quantitative article on our topic, we would have had to enter those terms into Search USA because they don't have, you'd have to search for it as a keyword instead of just using a filter to filter out stuff that is not clinical trials versus what is a clinical trial. So that's pretty great. PubMed also has additional filters that are helpful, like article type, the one that we talked about before, species, because PubMed does have a lot of veterinary literature in there as well. Language, sex, subject, journal, and age. The age filtering here can be really crucial with research as well. But main thing, like I said, we were focusing on Search USA, but feel free if you're interested in learning more about PubMed. We do have lots of webinars that we do with PubMed where we show you how to search it. It's a great resource to use when you're looking for health science stuff. But really tonight, the main focus was to kind of show you how to connect to articles and things like that using Search USA. One thing I will show you first, and somebody always tends to ask me this during this session, but because I know that it's very article-centric is what we're looking for, but we can also access books and other content through other sources through Search USA beyond articles. So I just activated the filter for books under source types, just so you could see some of the different books that you can connect to. That way, these are physical books. Some of these are physical books. Some of these are book reviews. Let me do the one for ebooks instead so we can look at those. All right, so these are some of the ebooks sort of based on our search terms that we may want to refer to in some way or another. Again, the subject filter is still here. We can still use the subject filter to constrict our search down, especially if we're looking for something. Maybe we are looking for a chapter out of a book or something like that, or a book that may be applicable to our topic. You can do that here as well. So that was a lot of information, and I went over a lot, but mainly my goal was to just show you how to connect to things through Search USA, how to use Search USA to search the library's collection, and then connect out to a database. Before I go, I will show you that there is one really helpful bit with Search USA, and it has a autocomplete feature, which is really helpful. The autocomplete feature is if you start typing in a term like I did with hip, once it starts to see the term you're using as you're typing it will present you with popular terms. Popular terms being ones that are usually searched by users of EBSCO across the world. EBSCO is a major library platform. Lots of databases are EBSCO databases that users use across the world. So if you're trouble coming up with keywords, or you have one good keyword, but maybe you want others, or you want to do a little bit more of an advanced search with that keyword, the autocomplete filter or the autocomplete feature in Search USA can be super helpful for that. So let's do knee osteoarthritis. This is a better example. This one, as we were starting to type it in, it gives us different searches that we can use, like knee osteoarthritis. You can do knee OA, because apparently there may be a successful search where knee OA is a term that's actually used in appropriate search term for this that we can search for, or knee arthritis as well. I'm sorry, I got a call. So that's another really helpful feature as well. That is available with Search USA, the autocomplete feature that will kind of give you a couple of different search terms to use if you're having trouble coming up with additional ones. So outside of that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, go back to my slideshow, and just want to know if anybody has any questions. It's a lot of information, I know, and I hope you were playing along and kind of looking through Search USA as I was showing you a couple of things, but it's a great tool. It's a great way to get to know the collection in the library. So if you don't have any questions, I'll give you my contact information just in case you have any questions, any follow-up questions for tonight's session. Once again, my name is Ryan Gaylor, distance learning librarian for the University of St. Augustine, and my contact is there if you have any direct questions about this session. rgaylor@usa.edu, or if you have a general question about the library, just about anything, whether it's about this session or anything that you can come up with, library@usa.edu is a good place to go. Thank you very much for coming out. I'm going to put our survey in the chat one more time in case it didn't show up in your when you signed on. Let's see. If you could, that would be really helpful if you could take the survey. It's a very short survey, just an assessment of the session that we had tonight. Once again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I'm going to pause the recording. So thank you again from the University of St. Augustine.